Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a small project where we pull data from the API. So we're gonna use actually iTunes to do that. So the way we're gonna do it, first we're gonna open a new project. So you go File, New, and you go Project. Download if you're an iOS developer. So click on Single View Application, as you can see right here, and go Next. And name the product name anything. Let's say get iTunes data or something like that. And you select matter universal or not, and then create anywhere you like. So right now, you can actually file if you want to. That's $99 a year where you can build apps, but you don't have to do that. You can actually just run it without, you don't need it. The signing requires a development team if you want to sign. So don't worry about that. So in the interview, what you're gonna do is you're gonna see this view controller, and the first thing you want to do is change that to main, or you can name it anything. Name it main view controller. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna tell the interviewer that you're gonna prepare the data. So first you wanna use NSURL session and pull the data, and then so in the first video, what we're gonna discuss the data. Usually, what they do is ask you why are you doing it this way and what's your architecture. So what we're going to use is some simple MVC right now. If you know model view controller, I'll discuss it in the next videos. We'll just create some. So the reason we're going to single responsibility, we don't want everything inside the main view controller, right? Even though we have like a controller that we can put everything in and we can do the network, we don't want to do that. So let's go ahead, configure that. So we're gonna go ahead and create that network controller. You can just call it network manager. Network manager. Let's go create. And once you create that network manager, you need to put in the class network manager. And you want to also prepare a model, right? To data. So another class, and I'll call it iTunes. Okay, and then I'm gonna make it a struct. The reason I'm making it a struct is it's a model. It has a in Swift, so it's good to use a struct a lot. It's recommended in Swift. So even though you learn from school, high school days, or college days that structs are not good to pass around because they're made copies instead of passing it by reference. So let me go ahead and make that struct for you now. iTunes. So iTunes data. So and go to our network manager. And the first method I want to write is iTunes. So what we need is we need the URL for iTunes. They usually give that to you the first new window. And we're gonna say iTunes API. And you scroll down and it says, let's see, working with iTunes right here. So try this. Gives me a thing. So try this HTTP iTunes. That's not it. So let's go to working with iTunes. So hold on, let's see. I've seen this before. Why is it not? There you go. Okay, there you go. The query is iTunes lookup ID, right? So what lookup? We want search, so I go iTunes. This is what I want. So the way it works is iTunes Apple search, and then we pass in the term in the, so you can see media, So you can ask music, and then the term is URL encoded text string you want to search plus Johnson. Any URL encoded text string plus character except following or encoded letters. Okay, so we can pass in everything except plus dash right here. Copy that. So we're gonna say endpoint. So this is what we're gonna tell the interviewer, that you're gonna populate the endpoint first, and then you're gonna have like a cleaner, and that will return completed URL, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and the URL builder endpoint string. You want to say it's a string, it's better. So we got the endpoint string, and now we want to append term and media, right? And media should be appended. This should have, and because you need those two in order to get the full URL for the search term. Customize here too. Okay. And then you want to also you can either for success network request, you want something to come back, so you want it in the success or fail. You can either use closures or you can protocol, but protocol, the class has to, so you can explain that to interviewer. You can use protocols or you can use closures. So if you use protocols, and then you're gonna say iTunes data with the data, right? An array of iTunes data. So what I can do is I can protocol, just you can do either way. So let's do protocol this time. So did fail, right? Did fail, and then we're gonna have an error, probably like an error. You can have an enum with an error type, so I can create that enum and call error type, and that would also have a string, and then case API error, API returned. Remember, you have limited time, so you don't have to do this. I'm just kind of showing it to you. You can just return enum. You can just return like a string. Returned nil or something like that. For now, we don't know our error type because we have to look at what we got. Now at URL, and so I want to make a string first. Completed string equals. So I'm gonna do the endpoint, and then I'm gonna. Oh yeah, since this is so I need to percent encoding. The reason is remember they said I cannot include because I need to include a slash in so I need to do this. That's gonna mess it up. Percent encoding. So you should. Not every API request requires encoding, but it's better to be safe. Endpoint string. So we're gonna do. So it was what? This, right? You already have that. And then term equals. And then it was and media. Okay, so that, but media should be a variable. Right, so we got that. And so now you just pair. This returns an optional. So now we need to also take this dot adding percentage set dot host allowed. Shows this, you can go in like this, and it says returns the character set for characters or else subcomponent. So it returns. So I want adding percentage for only those allowed host URLs. So this is what we choose. That's why we chose that. And then this returns an optional. So I'm gonna say go. Return nil, right? Because we can return nil because we have an optional. Or not. So now we have an error, right? The URL can be nil. I'm sorry, yeah, because we're returning nil. The URL can be nil. So our error type, we can have error type. And it's also string, and then it's gonna say URL null nil. So URL return nil. So all you need to do is oh, okay. Swift doesn't like that. All right, so return. Can't type today. Return generic error. Come on. I can't type today at all. That's why. So you can say URL. It's gonna say probably you or not returning. Yeah, so you don't want to do that. So I'm gonna do print the raw value. Okay. So that completes that, and this completed URL string is also this is also optional. So we gotta guard else. I'm gonna also do generic return. Yeah. So that's that. So we got our URL builder, and what is this complaining about? So we forgot the else. Okay. So we're gonna return. That's it. So as you can see, we have two guards. So if it comes here and it's nil, it's gonna return nil. It's not gonna return the. Does complete those two. Well, if this is not nil and this is not nil, it will return nil. So now I can just call. So you can tell, oh no, it's very clean. I can just call this and get the URL. So that URL that iTunes completed URL equals URL builder, and I'm going to pass and the media, and this returns an optional, right? So we got to do another guard. So we should have like two URL types, right? The URL or else string nil. Okay, I'm gonna cut this video short. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the API connection, and then we can continue with the video. So garlet else return. What you can also do instead of like doing this prints, you can do a try catch, and you can return error type. You can during the interview you don't want to do that because then you're gonna have all these error types and you're not gonna finish it. They usually give you 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes they give you 2 hours. So raw value, but you can view that you actually would do that, and they would see that you're thinking like that, so, and it's good. So So I need to return. What is this complaining? Okay. We'll use it though. So let's go ahead and get the URL session going. URL session, shared data task. So we're gonna do a data task with this one. The reason we're picking this one is we want to have a completion handler. We don't want URL request. We can do that too. And you can tell them too. You can change it to post or put. You know, those I can talk to you about those. It's very important to know all the API get, put, post, put, and update. So we're gonna, since we're just getting data, we're just gonna do the regular. And then also URL session has a URL, so you don't want to do that now. We're just gonna use the default pass in the URL. Okay, so let's complete URL. All right. So then we have this. All of this is optional. So you know what happens. You have to like guard all those. So it's gonna be messy. So what do? You response. Oh, don't complain so much. Computer's like complaining. Anyways. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna explain to you everything. If you have any questions, just go ahead and put comments. So, you know what? We didn't pass in URL. This is a completed URL. So it's a URL still. Right? Well, is actually something that happened. All right. So we got another thing you want to know about Grand Central Dispatch. You want to use that here. The reason is you're making a network request and you don't want to hold up the UI, right? So you want to, it's going to take you a little time. So you don't want to have another thread waiting for you. So you basically want it to be a sequence. What that means is you're doing a request after request without waiting for the other request to finish. So if you're familiar with the interview, dispatch queue. So I'm gonna use a global queue. Means I'm not for the other queue to finish. And also the so I'm gonna create a block here, right? A closure. And this session has to resume, so I gotta resume it. Data. It's nil, so I need to guard the data. Equals data else data. So I want to have a type here. Type. So we can type data error API returned nil data. Okay, so basic data error. So we got, so basically we're just gonna return the print. I'm sorry, print. You can tell the interviewer that you actually would use like a logger to log all this, and you can log it and kind of see it on the device, you know. But you don't have time to create all that. So it's not generic; it's API. So now we're dealing with API. What do we call it? API. I think we call it items. This is what I'm talking about. Error type. So I think I don't like it. We'll change it to API error type. I'll call it API error type dot API data error dot. All right, so we're gonna return here too, right? We're gonna return after this. All right, so we got that. We got let, and then we're gonna print the data. Should go away. Yeah, okay, so we're done with pulling data from the API. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna test this out and see if we get data back. Term. So what we need to do is call this from the view controller, right? So network manager. So we're gonna create the network manager here. Not like that. Okay, manager. Then we need to call it in view.load. So we will actually create a method called fetch, and then we're gonna pass in the term, and we're gonna pass in the term and the, what do you call it? So if we want to call that, another thing you want to also is the return data. So you're calling it a global thread, right? But return data, you want to, since it's gonna access the UI always has to be on the main thread all the time. That's the most important thing on the interview. If you fail this, you will not get the job. UI always has to be on the main thread. Okay, so if it's returning data, you want to make sure that you put that on the main thread, right? And then okay, actually we used protocol. So if data, we're gonna do the next video. We will implement the delegate inside the main view controller, and then the view controller will implement that methods. But I'm not gonna do that now, and I'm not gonna do the. But if you were to use this q.main, still want it asynchronous. Thank you. It's probably like, I would do it like. So if you were calling, like for example, the delegate dot did receive, right? So basically that's it. Go ahead and print the data, and let me call this. So we call network manager. Something's going on here because the thing is not auto populating the network manager. It's network. I misspelled it. That's why. Yeah, hold on. Okay. Well, I lost the auto completion here. That's not fun. I just have to do it myself there. And see. Network network manager. Yeah, he's correct. Network. You know what? Just make this easier. Let me just type in network manager. Fetch data, and then just the term would be what? The term would be Pink Floyd. I don't know. Pearl Jam, or let's see, any kind of think about. I just put weekend. Is that how I spell? Let's see. Any media. So the media is okay. So go ahead and finish this. What is it doing here? User ownership network man. It's not unresolved. There's no way. Okay, that should do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got data, hopefully. So this is definitely pulling data, and you can interview. This is the first step, and you're gonna, connect and do the success data, and then populate that data inside the collection view. And then we go layout. We learn a lot of things. That's all for the videos. I'm sorry, not video. All right, so we're almost getting. Another thing I want to tell you is they don't want you to. Let's say they don't want you to use storyboards. So what you need to do is delete the storyboard. So I'll do another video after, and you have to call a couple of methods to get. So let me see if in here. So data says iTunes. Oh, because I didn't change the name of the thing because I changed it here. So let me go ahead and do that in the storyboard. If I go here and change this to main view control. Remember, change the name. You have to change. Okay, so let's run it again. So let's, and we should get some kind of data here. It's not going to be serialized. It's just going to say data bytes. Yeah. Forgot to call it. So that's why it's data. And then term, weekend. Okay, so here you want to say term and media, right? Okay. So you need to call in VD load. The thing is, you want to know the life cycle of a V controller. There's VD load. VD load is only being called once, and then after that, view will appear will be called. The first time VD load calls, we will appear, and then VD load, and then subviews, we will lay out subviews, we will disappear, view did disappear. We will go over it in the next videos because you can tell that. So right, so build this again. Sorry about that. Forgot about this kind of things when you're doing pair programming. Even if you're the best happen. API return nil data. So see how cool it. We know what's going on. So it's probably this. I think the URL something that pro jam. Try that, and then we can go to network manager and see if the URL is API return nil. Try just make sure that URL is correct. So what we can do and post it into actually brings data back, then we know our URL is good. So that's our URL, right? It's not nil, so we can check our always print output. It's very good for debugging. Completed URL string. So that's our string, and let's see if oopsie daisy something. That's why it is a variable. We don't want it to be a string. Problem. This needs to be outside actually. Okay, let's see. Let's do it again. See, you see your mistakes and you correct it. They see that, and that's good. So now go ahead and look at the URL. Okay, so let's look at the URL, and we got HTTPS. That looks weird. Why does it look like that? I think we got this wrong. URL. That's a lot. Shouldn't be host. Sure, we'll see what's going on with. Try this again with the path. And what's the path mean? Returns the character set for character log in a path. You had the wrong one. Okay, let's see. Let's look at. I think this is it. Yes, looks correct. Let me look at. Looks correct. This returns the data. We're in business. Page not found. Are we missing something real fast? So IT Apple outcomes. Let's do this. And then the endpoint. No. First endpoint. And then we go this. And then we go term. So let's just make sure we got this right. Let's look at iTunes search API. So they're saying the search. So every API is different. So it's trickier than other ones. So if you look at this, they give you an example. It's better. This and see if you're seeing here, right? Term, and this is entities here, so we can just use that. So let's look at what we got here and what we got here. So this is how HTTPS iTunes.apple.com, right? So, and term equals, right? Jack Nelson's entity. Should work. That should work. Let's just do this for now. Let me look at my other project real fast and see what I used here. URL fragment allowed. So it should be URL fragment allowed. Return the character fragment URL. See, Swift 3 changed a lot of things. It wasn't like this before. You could just do percentage, but returns the character set for allowed in the fragment URL. Okay, so let's do this again. I think we were good now. Alright, so let's see if I can see the data URL. And I'll post it. Or my old, right? That's correct. Right. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So as you can see, problems if you are not familiar. Actually, it's mostly like this URL thing that caused me to. So just see if we get data. Bring data. Yes, we got data. Perfect. As you can see right in this. So what the problem was is the character set URL fragment allowed. Remember this URL fragment allowed. Returns character set for character allowed in a fragment. So because you have a fragment, right? So that's it. Till next time, we're gonna serialize the data.